So thank you all for being here. Yes, Lewis Porter, Maryland 2020 Watch. Um, what I have done over, well, he said decades, I've been involved in politics, probably be active to help the Republican Party or candidates where I can for probably about 16, 18 years. But in the last 10 years, I've been actively looking at what the problems here are in Maryland and decided to focus it down to Maryland's elections and the election process. And so I have a website. I have a lot of information on the website. I encourage you to take a look at that and try to follow it as best you can. There were some speeches that I've given in the past to deal with the subject. I want to move on to tonight's subject. Before I do that, can I see who here has ever been an election judge in a polling location? We have any others? Okay. Is anyone here works for is a lawyer? Any lawyers here? No lawyers? Okay. Anybody in the sheriff's department or works as a police officer or anything like that? Nobody? Okay. All right, good. I just want to know kind of like the audience I'm speaking to here. So this pamphlet that I have was made up just for tonight's talk, and I'll try to move through it. You don't have to. I'm not going to go over the whole thing with you. Just that there's information on this for you to follow what it is I'm speaking about. So we're going to start with the basic piece, and I was concerned about it. Is I had not heard where President Trump had come out and challenged the mail-in voting that's going to happen across the country. And this last week, he seems to be hitting it pretty hard, and I'm very, very grateful of that. And that's been in conversation with people I've been working with as the key issue at this time to really challenge, because we already have problems in our election. And so why are they going to do it in this process? So we put mail-in voting at the very top of the concern, and then right under it is the evidence of why they shouldn't, is the things that I have been talking about. So we have how the State Board of Election slow walks the election oversight effort. And so when you put these two pieces together, and we hear a lot about voter fraud or voter intimidation or illegals voting, and there's a multitude of things that you could be concerned about. What we have targeted is the process and trying to get answers in certain elections at the end of the election. So we've been sending PIAs to the State Board of Election for them to answer questions on a particular election. And it started before William Newton's election, which was 2016 primary, and that's the one that's the big one with Hillary Clinton stealing the election from Bernie Sanders, and the shenanigans that was going on. And we have on our website, we have a report, it's called the Reconciliation Report, and it shows what Baltimore City did, which they certified, decertified, and then recertified the election, and how illegal that whole process was. So that started the process of the main, where we got on the board for that we're watching what the State Board of Elections is doing, and they can't prove what they're doing is legit. And since then, there's a whole number of different actions that we have posted to on our website based off of the lack of information or the slow walking of getting information after election reports from the State Board of Election. And at this point, I can tell you I'm confident to say that there are 3 cases that went to trial that the Board of Election slow walk making the information available to the candidate that was suing for their particular issue, and it ended up where the legal system here in Maryland threw the issue out of court, saying it didn't matter now, it wasn't timely, you didn't post it timely, and to that case I'd like to what? Moot. Yeah. But did you have something that you wanted to say as to the slow walking and the throwing your particular case out?
I'll do it now, Mike. 2016, I filed a federal and state case against the results of the election. The night of the election, primary GOP, 7th District Congress, I was 350 votes ahead. A couple days later, 3 days later, I ended up, my competitor made up not only the 350, but a couple extras that put us at me 42 votes behind. I filed a recount petition, and the following day they changed the numbers to where I was just outside of the 0.1% to be permitted a recount. This was on a Thursday, and they said if you can get $80,000 up by Friday, that they would do a recount on my behalf. So I figured out what the hell, I'm not going to go that route. So we filed a federal case. It took about a year and 3 months to get this through the system, and then the end result was the court threw out the case as moot because, quote unquote, Elijah Cummings had already been seated. And my argument to the court was it has nothing to do with Elijah Cummings, whether he was seated or not. It was an illegal election. It was a fraudulent election.
Right. Thank you very. So this was just one case. Now we have involved with supporting and clearly through the process, and have the results have ended up being kind of the same. So we put them online. Now what I'm trying to say is what we have is all validated by what the Board of Elections has said to us, or what judges have decided in a particular court case after an election. So it's, to me, it's like trying to nail the Board of Election down. The best, I guess, analogy that I can think of is like trying to capture mercury, and you hit it and it splatters, and then you got to capture it back up. Well, trying to do that with the Board of Election, they have a multitude of ways that they dodge through using the law and then the court system to obfuscate being responsible for their own particular pieces that they do. But what we've done is taken this long view to say, we have the law, you're not abiding by the law, we can show that you're not abiding by the law, and that's what I wanted to move on to real quick here for just a couple of minutes. Is what we have here in this flyer. It deals with, so it says, we reviewed the State Board of Elections documents, which expose how they failed to comply with the law, but no one's held accountable. If fraud is suspected or evidence, there is no accountability. So what the State Board of Election has done is they put the heavy hand on a candidate's running that you have to comply with all the aspects of filling out your documents and where your money's coming from and where it's gone and who's done this and who's done that. But when it comes to pinning the State Board of Elections down for their after-action reports, they completely ignore the law. And the Attorney General of the state of Maryland will not look into it, and the only arbiter that would have any say as to we have a problem here would be Lynn Lamone, who heads the State Board of Elections. So if you cannot put enough grassroots pressure on the system to go after challenging the State Board of Elections after action report, then you can't confidently say that you've had a fair and honest election. And in the mail-in ballot aspect, it gives them carte blanche to do whatever they want, free without anybody ever able to look at anything that they do. So literally, they would steal the election, and they can get away with it full out. And the evidence that we have in the last 4 years that are posted online proves that they can't even conduct a normal election right, legal, and proper. And that's what I'm trying to say. So please, I'd like the information on here talks about the cases that we have,
We will be
reasons that
posting
we,
the
like
brochure
number
on
one,
our page
no
following the
signature
event.
verification for the ballot, mail-in ballots. Two, election law mandates absentee ballots. So they want to blanket all the mail-in ballots out. They do not want to use an absentee ballot process to do it. And they even got the legal right to change the terminology from what an absentee ballot is and call it a mail-in ballot. So they're conflating those in the public's mind to make them think it's the same thing. Absentee ballots are relatively safe, with exceptions. Yes.
Well, they just passed a law in the legislature, you know, the places where they can't get anything done on a minute's notice. Just 2 weeks ago, they passed a new law changing the definition of a mail-in ballot. And now the law is that anytime they, in media reports or news, you have to refer to all ballots as mail-in ballots. Not absentee, not provisional, not mail-in. Now all must be termed mail-in ballots.
All right, so this is a slow walk psychological play that they're playing on the general public to do this. Now, there's other aspects of here that I'm really aware of, and it's hard to speak in a single point on them, but there's the over-unders or the over-overs or the under-unders. So these are critical things that we have discovered in the law that they use what we call lawfare. Lawfare is being used played on the public just like warfare. The Democrats are using lawfare as warfare. And so in lawfare, they have the law written a certain way that it allows them to do the things that they want to do legally and get away with it. One of the points is the mandate. They thought everybody has a right to have a recount if the election's close. Well, if they steal it over the automatic recount, which is a very low bar, then you have to pay for it yourself out of your pocket to get a recount. So they're excused of that to the tune, he said, $80,000. It depends on the election and how much work they have. The other thing is other processes in the way the law is written allows them to skirt the law and get away with it. And so I challenge you to look at this here. I didn't really follow it exactly to what it is, but it has the information on it. You can follow the train of thought here. And then also look at what I have online, which backs up both what the law is and what the State Board of Election isn't doing. I, as a citizen, any of you as a citizen, have the legal right to ask the State Board of Election to prove their election process. All of this public information, all of it you're entitled to, all of it you're entitled to in a timely fashion, which none of it that has the State Board of Election been a fair and honest player in getting that information back to us. So please, that's basically what I have. You want